Hey guys, Lori here, pharmacist. So I wanted to pick up with where I was this morning. I had sent out a video and I posted it on my wall. Dr. Oh God, I can't think of his name. It starts with an N and he's got his own Facebook page. But he was recommending quinine water and a combination of and zinc. So a combination of quinine water, which you can buy at the grocery store. It's a tonic water. There's different brands. It's not all one brand, but you want to look for ones with quinine. Now, the interesting thing about quinine is chloroquine and hydroxychloroquine, which are two anti-malarial drugs, are synthetic forms of quinine. Quinine is actually a natural remedy. It comes from the bark of a tree. So, I had actually a naturopathic doctor that I sent it to that came back at me with, oh, there's no proof, blah, blah, blah. That can't work. And I said, hey, do we even know what we're dealing with here with this COVID-19? I mean, why would an antimalarial and an antibiotic work? I've never heard of that being used in treatment of a virus in the history of the world. So furthermore, if people are taking the quinine and zinc, it's not going to hurt them. So, and if it eases their minds, then that reduces stress. And also I can say, I know that quinine has major effects. He educated me on something I was not aware of, which is that the whole taking quinine off the market was courtesy of Bill Clinton. It's like, I should have known. Because back in the day, I'm working as a retail pharmacist, I had multiple patients who got quinine regularly and then suddenly unavailable, off the market, can't get it. And I mean, they were using it for leg cramps. It was a serious deal for them. And they were at a complete loss. Well, fortunately, I was able to track down through research a couple of homeopathic remedies that still contain quinine. So I began recommending those for them and carrying them in our pharmacy, and that worked. That was the ticket. But when they ran out, sometimes it'd be out of stock, or you know how that goes, I would recommend the quinine water. So quinine is a remedy that does definitely help with some things. Zinc is obviously, it's a vitamin. So what's the worst case scenario? And are we ever going to have clinical trials? I mean, I can't sit here and say there are clinical trials to back this, because why? Unless Trump funds them, they never will be, because pharma's not going to fund anything that's going to help you get well and not need the vaccine that they're going to come out with, all right? So it is what it is. And I've seen this pattern. I've been a pharmacist almost 30 years. For those of you who were just waking up, I've seen this pattern. I know how they work. I'm going to tell you something else about pharma. They are convicted felons. Google it. Pharma convicted felons. You'll get a link to Wikipedia. It'll show you the most lucrative lawsuits where pharma's paid out. And guess what? The top two that's GlaxoSmithKline and Merck, are the top two vaccine manufacturers. What a coincidence. Yeah, those things that you're told to inject into your children are being manufactured by convicted felons. What were they convicted of? Violating the False Claims Act. What does that mean? They claimed something that wasn't true, or they skewed studies and convinced us that something worked better than it did. Or it's interesting to kind of go read the lawsuits while you're sitting home, with nothing but internet anyway. I would highly suggest it, because you need to understand that when your doctor looks at you and tells you if you do not vaccinate your child, they could die, or you do not love your child if you do not vaccinate them, that they're probably not aware of the fact that pharma's convicted felons, or they've brushed it under the carpet and rationalized it. But that is the reality. We'll come back to the whole doctor thing and how you should handle that. What else? Yeah, so do you want, and you need to be investigating the ingredients in vaccines, but you need to understand that the people that are manufacturing the vaccines and the drugs that you're ingesting are convicted felons. All right. So I think especially when it comes to injection, that is a huge, huge deal, because once you inject it, you cannot take it back. And I, as being a pharmacist almost 30 years now, I've worked in pharmacies since the early 80s. I have seen the decline of health of the whole spectrum of people, in this nation. But children, most importantly, our children are ridden with autoimmune disorders, seizures, learning disabilities, autism, asthma, allergies. It did not used to be this way. In the 80s and early 90s, ADD, ADHD meds were not flying off the shelf. Children weren't epileptic like they are now. They didn't have cancer like they do now. They weren't asthmatic and allergies. Matter of fact, really the only thing we got a lot of any prescriptions for was like an antibiotic and a cough syrup. I mean, we just weren't even filling that many prescriptions for kids. And now, oh no, pharma's racking it in. And because of that, you need to investigate the vaccines and you need to understand the character, the integrity of the people that are manufacturing these vaccines and these drugs that you're ingesting and that your doctor is telling you need, or you may die. You may die. So what do you say to your doctor? I was just having a conversation yesterday with a really delightful young man from Texas. He had asked me the question about he's an uncle to two children that, he's trying to educate the parent, his sister and mother on how, about vaccines and what can he say, what can he do? And I said, when your doctor looks at you and tells you or them that your child's going to die, then you say, well, okay, I want to know the statistics of, percentage-wise, how many children were dying in America, not globally. Globally is irrelevant. In America, before we started vaccinating. I guarantee your doctor's going to look at you with deer in the headlights because they don't know the answer to that question. They're going to make some excuse. They're going to try to make you feel like an idiot because that's what doctors usually do when they can't answer a question. They turn it back on you and make you feel like you're so stupid for even asking that question when in fact, they don't know the answer. And I've seen this multiple times in my career too, because I've dealt with doctors all over the years. I've seen mistakes. I've questioned them. I've been chewed out for actually letting the patient know that I'm not sure the doctor really knows what they're doing. And I've gotten thrown under the bus. I've saved lives because I've refused to fill prescriptions and gone, this doctor, this is so wrong. You got to take this back and get it straightened out. And then I get chewed out by the doctor because they go, you threw me under the bus. I'm like, no, I saved a patient's life. How about a thank you? But they're not concerned with that. They're concerned with their ego. Not all doctors. I'm not sitting here saying, I've dealt with a lot of really nice doctors over the years. And I want you to understand that. It's not all pharmacists are terrible. All doctors are terrible. It's never an all or nothing. But from the feedback I see, parents that are going to doctors and trying to have a discussion about vaccines, they end up being intimidated and shamed and manipulated, and it is horrible. It is an absolutely horrible thing, and it needs to absolutely stop. You need to do your research. You need to know what you're injecting into your child, and you need to know who's manufacturing and what their character is of the people that are manufacturing those vaccines. Okay, so what else I'm going to bring up real quick? Somebody pointed out, actually a couple of people pointed out, that's amazing that the pneumonia deaths, the flu deaths, and even cardiac arrest, this doctor pointed that out, along with some other people, have magically decreased while the COVID-19 deaths increase. So what could be wrong with that picture? Well, when you have a test which tests for only an mRNA sequence of in a sequence, in other words, genetic material. That's all it's testing for. It's not actually testing for the virus. When you have the CDC right on their website, it says any test where we don't have a result is presumed positive, hugely skews numbers. All right. I will post a link. There's a guy, and it's been going all over the internet, but it's hard to find because it's been taken off of YouTube. Shock. It's highly censored by a guy by the name of David Icke, I-C-K-E. He's excellent. He's brilliant. I'm not even through it. It's 2 hours long, but I will post it. He's entering on to the 5G stuff, and then I had stuff I had to do, so I had to quit watching for a while. But I'm going to pick back up with that. And what does he talk about? He actually believes that the whole COVID thing is a hoax, and he explains why. I can't say I'm necessarily 100% on board with that because I believe we got to listen to the people that are in the trenches working with the patients. And while it's pretty few and far between the patients that are really horribly ill, we're learning that there seems to be an oxygen issue, and ventilators, for whatever reason, are not proving to be the best solution. I'm not really up on that, and I've got some articles I need to read. But the point is, for me, I listen to the people that are in the trenches, and when they say we're dealing with something we've never seen before, as long as they have no ties to the pharmaceutical industry and I feel like they're awake, I'm going to believe them. And I've got a nurse that I've been corresponding with who is actually on a COVID-19 unit in the town that she works. And she's been a follower of mine, so she's definitely wide awake, and she's got no reason. And she's like, there's some issues here. Well, I have a baby girl that I'm babysitting, and I'm hearing her go off. I think I've pretty much covered what I want to say. So yeah, go out and get your quinine and zinc. I'd get some vitamin A, get outside, get some sun, vitamin D, vitamin C, fresh fruits and vegetables, clean eating, and boost your immune system, and understand the character of the people that are manufacturing your vaccines that you're injecting into your children and the pills that you're popping. But injection is a whole different deal, because that's absorbed into your bloodstream than ingestion. So, all right. thewisepharmacist.com. Any questions? Or my email is thewisepharmacist@gmail.com. All right. Love you guys, and talk soon.